We arrive in this world alone, and we leave it the same way. Between these 2 points lies our entire life, our whole journey. And as grand as it may sound, we must walk it alone. Yes, there will be friends, love, family, colleagues, and casual companions, but your pain is yours alone, your responsibility too. In moments of fear, in minutes of doubt, when the world crumbles, you are left face to face with yourself. This is where what we call stoicism begins. It doesn't teach you to be unfeeling or rigid. It teaches you to be absolutely honest with yourself. It teaches you to look life directly in the eye and to meet its blows relying only on yourself. Lesson 1. No one will save you. All responsibility rests on you. This is a simple, yet painfully sobering thought. In everyone's life, there come moments when waiting for someone to come and pull you out of the swamp is simply pointless. You face a choice: stand up and fight, or remain lying down, drowning in self-pity. A Stoic doesn't waste time lamenting. They don't look for someone to blame for their misfortunes. They simply look at the situation, assess it, and start doing what needs to be done. Imagine you're in the middle of a raging sea. The ship you were on is sinking, and there's no one around to offer a helping hand. You can scream at the top of your lungs, cry in despair, blame cruel fate or a faulty ship, but none of that will save you. The only thing that matters is to start swimming. Every stroke of your arms, every breath you take, every kick of your legs, that's your choice, your action. And you alone make that choice. Take those actions. Stoicism literally tells you, swim. No matter what happens, swim. This is a lesson in complete and unconditional personal responsibility. You are the captain of your sinking vessel, and whether you make it out alive depends entirely on you. Or another example. You failed an important exam that your future depended on. Of course, you could blame the teacher, the difficult curriculum, or a lack of time. But a Stoic would ask themselves, what could I have done differently? What will I do now to fix this? They'd pick up their textbooks and start preparing for the retake, instead of drowning in self-recrimination. Because they know self-salvation is in your own hands. Lesson 2. Control only what is within your control. Let go of the rest. This is perhaps one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. We have no power over most of the external events that happen in our lives. We can't stop the rain if it ruined our picnic plans. We can't prevent a loved one's infidelity or a friend's betrayal. We can't control other people's thoughts, words, or actions. But we have absolute and undeniable power over one thing: how we react to these events. You could lash out and get angry in response to injustice. You could plunge into the depths of suffering when something doesn't go as planned. Or you could make a choice for calmness, acceptance, and a rational approach. Imagine someone was rude to you in a public place or in a queue at a shop. Your first reaction would most likely be anger, a desire to respond in kind, to spoil the offender's mood. But if you give in to that reaction, you'll spoil your own day. A Stoic, however, would tell themselves, his words are his choice, his problem. My reaction is my choice. And instead of getting into an argument, they would simply let it go. This isn't indifference, it's inner freedom. It's incredibly liberating when you realize that no one can ruin your mood without your consent. Another example. You're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You could hit the steering wheel, curse, get stressed. but the traffic won't clear up because of it. Your blood pressure, however, will spike, and your mood will be ruined. A Stoic in such a situation might listen to a podcast, make a hands-free call, or simply breathe calmly. They know they can't affect the traffic, but they can affect their reaction.
Lesson 3. Accept the inevitable. Don't fight reality. Life is full of loss. We lose people who leave our lives, things that break or disappear, opportunities that are missed. There's no escaping it. Loss is part of the life cycle. A Stoic doesn't waste energy fighting what cannot be changed. They don't bang their head against a wall trying to get back what's already gone. Instead, they accept it as a given, an unalterable fact, and all the energy they might have spent on a fruitless struggle, they direct towards moving forward and adapting to new conditions. Imagine you've lost a job you've had for many years. This isn't just a loss of income. It's a loss of your usual social circle, status, and perhaps even a part of your identity. Of course, it's painful, scary, and unfair. You could fall into deep despair, blaming the crisis, your boss, the whole world. Or, after allowing yourself time to process those emotions, you could tell yourself, yes, this happened. It's a fact. What can I do now? What are my options? How can I use this situation for my growth? And instead of crying over spilled milk, you start looking for new opportunities, retraining, developing yourself. Acceptance in Stoicism is not indifference or passivity. It's an active stance based on wisdom. It's the understanding that some doors close so that new ones can open. Lesson 4. Death is part of life. Live life to the fullest. We will all die. This is one of the few absolute truths that every person must accept. Death isn't something terrifying and distant that will happen someday. It's an integral part of life, its logical conclusion. A Stoic doesn't fear death. Moreover, they integrate the awareness of mortality into their daily life. This doesn't make life gloomy or depressing. On the contrary, understanding the finiteness of existence helps you appreciate every moment, every breath, every encounter, every experience. Imagine that every day you're given could be your last. Would you then spend precious hours on petty grievances, senseless arguments, or worries about what others might say? Or would you strive for what truly matters, spending time with loved ones, pursuing your passions, learning, creating, helping others? The awareness of mortality is not only a powerful motivator to live life to the fullest, but also a way to prioritize. You begin to discern what truly matters and what is merely fleeting hustle and bustle. Epictetus said, "Remember that you are mortal, and this will help you not to waste time on trifles." If you look in the mirror every morning and see a person who could cease to exist at any moment, you begin to treat life much more carefully and consciously. You start living, not just existing. Lesson 5. Value the present. Here and now. That's what matters. The past is gone forever. We cannot change it, no matter how much we wish we could. The future has not yet arrived, and it's full of uncertainty. There is only now, only this very moment. A Stoic lives in the present moment, recognizing its value. They enjoy what is here and now, and they don't allow thoughts of past mistakes or anxieties about future problems to distract them from the fullness of life.
Imagine you're drinking your morning coffee. You could sit there, dwelling on yesterday's work mishap or worrying about an upcoming important meeting. And then the entire process of drinking coffee would pass you by. You wouldn't sense its aroma, its taste, or the warmth of the cup in your hands. Or you could simply experience this moment. Fully immerse yourself in it. Feel the warmth of the cup. Breathe in the coffee's aroma. Savor every sip. This isn't just an act of drinking. It's an act of mindfulness. That's where all the magic lies. Living here and now means not postponing life, not waiting for ideal conditions, but living every single moment. You're walking in a park. Instead of thinking about your to-do list, look at the trees. Listen to the birds singing. Feel the wind on your face. This is life. Lesson 6. Distinguish between desired and necessary. Happiness isn't an abundance. The modern world, with its endless advertising and culture of consumption, constantly convinces us that we need more and more. A new car, trendier clothes, a bigger house, the latest phone model. A Stoic learns to distinguish true, fundamental needs from imposed desires that don't actually bring deep satisfaction but merely create an illusion of happiness. They learn to be content with little and find happiness in simple things that are truly important. Imagine your friend just got a new, shiny, latest model car, while you have an older but reliable vehicle. You might start to envy them, suffer from the feeling that mine is worse, and immediately want the same. But you could stop and ask yourself, do I really need a new car right now? My old one still reliably gets me from point A to point B. It serves its purpose. And then you'd understand that your car is a means of transport, not a status symbol. And happiness isn't in the quantity of things or their newness, but in your attitude towards them. A Stoic understands that a person doesn't need luxury to be happy. They need peace of mind, clarity of thought, and the ability to be grateful for what they already have. They can be happy with just a roof over their head, food, and the ability to think. Lesson 7. Practice discomfort. Temper your spirit. To be prepared for life's inevitable difficulties, you sometimes need to voluntarily expose yourself to discomfort. This is a kind of spiritual training, strengthening your inner resilience. It's not masochism, but a conscious preparation for future trials. Walking instead of taking a taxi, giving up accustomed comforts as long as it doesn't harm your health. This teaches you to be less dependent on external conditions. Imagine you usually take a hot shower every morning. Try ending your shower with cold water for a week. At first it will be unpleasant, but then you'll feel a surge of energy and realize that you can endure minor discomfort. Or, if you're used to always sitting in a chair, try standing sometimes while working at your desk. This is like a vaccination against future shocks. If you learn to endure minor inconveniences, it will be much easier for you to survive real difficulties when they come without your consent. A Stoic does this to be ready for the worst-case scenario without hoping for the best. They fear neither cold, nor hunger, nor deprivation, because they have already experienced them voluntarily.
Lesson 8. Seek wisdom, not just knowledge. Knowledge without action is useless. Knowledge is simply information, facts, data that we accumulate. Wisdom, however, is the ability to apply that knowledge in your daily life, to learn from experience, and to make sound decisions. A Stoic doesn't just strive to gather as many facts or quotes from great thinkers as possible. Their goal is to understand how to live correctly, how to be virtuous, how to achieve inner peace. They seek truth that helps them navigate the world, not just empty words. Imagine you've read hundreds of books on psychology, philosophy, and self-improvement. You know all the theories, you can quote the greats. But if you don't apply anything you've read in practice, if your life isn't changing for the better, if you're still suffering from the same problems, then all that knowledge remains just information. Wisdom is when you start acting differently, when you change your behavior, your reactions, your habits based on what you've learned. For example, you know that anger is bad for your health. Knowledge is understanding that. Wisdom is when, in a moment of anger, you take a deep breath and consciously choose a different reaction. Lesson 9. Don't give in to passions. Manage your emotions. Anger, envy, excessive desire, fear, all these strong emotions, or passions as the Stoics called them, cloud the mind and deprive a person of the ability to think clearly.
A Stoic learns to manage their emotions, not allowing them to take over. It's important to understand, they don't suppress them, don't bury them deep inside where they can cause even more harm. They process them. They realize that these are just thoughts and feelings that come and go. Imagine you're very angry with someone who offended you. Instead of immediately lashing out your anger, saying or doing something you'll later regret, a Stoic would pause. They'd take a deep breath. They'd ask themselves, what's really making me angry? Is it an objective reason or my interpretation? Can I change the situation with my anger, or will it just destroy me? Often it turns out that something else is hidden beneath anger or another strong emotion, and a more constructive solution can be found. For example, behind anger there might be fear or hurt. By understanding the true cause, you can find a solution. A Stoic doesn't let emotions be their master. They choose how to react. Lesson 10. Act according to virtue. This is the path to true happiness. Justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom. These are the 4 pillars of Stoic philosophy, the core virtues. A Stoic strives to always act in accordance with these principles because they are deeply convinced that this leads to inner harmony, peace, and true happiness. They know that external circumstances may be unfavorable, but their inner compass, their virtuous nature, will always remain with them. Imagine you face a difficult choice that could bring you great material gain, but it would require you to act dishonestly or unfairly towards others. There's another path, a more difficult one, that doesn't promise such quick riches, but it's honest and aligns with your principles. A Stoic would choose the second path without hesitation, because inner righteousness, a clear conscience, and adherence to your principles are more important than any external gain. They won't look for easy ways if they contradict their moral foundations. They know that happiness isn't in money, but in living in harmony with yourself and your values.
Lesson 11. Remember our shared humanity. We are all interconnected. Stoicism, despite its emphasis on self-sufficiency, by no means preaches selfishness. On the contrary, it teaches you to see yourself as part of something larger, part of the human community, the cosmos. A Stoic understands that we are all interconnected and strives to benefit others, because that is also part of their virtuous life. This isn't altruism in its purest form, but a deep understanding of interdependence. Imagine you see someone on the street who needs help. You could walk by, excusing yourself with being in a hurry or thinking about your own affairs. Or you could stop and offer help, even if it takes a little of your time or causes minor inconvenience. A Stoic understands that we are all in the same boat. Our actions affect not only us, but also those around us. And helping another person isn't just a kind gesture. It's the realization of the principle of being useful to society, which is part of Stoic ethics. By helping others, we make the world a better place, and this brings us inner satisfaction. Lesson 12. Judge yourself by your intentions, not results. Not everything depends on you. Sometimes we put in maximum effort, do everything right, but the outcome still isn't what we hoped for. External factors, luck, or chance can influence the result. A Stoic understands that what matters isn't just achieving the final goal, but also the journey you've taken, your intentions, and your efforts. If you did everything you could with good intentions, then that's already a victory, regardless of the outcome. Imagine you studied long and hard for a very important exam. You crammed at night, attended all lectures, reviewed the material. But on the exam itself, you got questions you knew least well, or you simply got too nervous and got a low grade. You could fall into despair, thinking all your efforts were in vain. Or you could tell yourself, I did everything I could. I studied, I tried, I put in maximum effort, and that's what matters. The result doesn't always depend solely on us, but effort, diligence, and good intentions are always within our control. Focus on what you can control, your actions and your efforts, and not on what's beyond your control, the final outcome.
Lesson 13. Be self-sufficient. Inner freedom is your fortress. Dependence on external circumstances, others' opinions, or other people makes us vulnerable. If your happiness depends entirely on what your boss says, how your partner behaves, or the amount of money in your bank account, then you are constantly under their power. A Stoic strives for inner independence, for self-sufficiency. They find support within themselves, in their reason and virtue. This doesn't mean renouncing relationships or society. It means that your inner peace and your happiness cannot be disturbed by external events or the actions of others. You don't seek happiness externally, you find it within yourself. Imagine you've lost a friend. It hurts. But if your happiness was entirely tied to that person, you would collapse. Self-sufficiency allows you to go through the loss because you know that your value and your inner world don't depend on the presence of that friend. You remain whole and unharmed.
Lesson 14. Don't seek approval. Your conscience is your main judge. Many of our actions, words, and even thoughts are dictated by a subconscious desire to please others, gain praise, or avoid criticism. A Stoic doesn't chase after others' opinions like a phantom. They act according to their internal principles, their conscience, and their reason. For them, inner righteousness is more important than external recognition. Imagine you did a truly good deed, helped someone, but no one noticed, praised you, or gave you credit. Would you be upset? Would you feel like you did it for nothing? A Stoic wouldn't. They know that the most important thing is that they acted rightly. Their internal assessment is far more significant than any external praise. Approval from outside is just a bonus, if it's there, but it's never the goal. The goal is to be a person who acts in accordance with their virtues, regardless of who says what. Lesson 15. Live in harmony with nature. Accept the natural order of things. This lesson isn't just about forests, rivers, and animals. It's about accepting the natural order of things, understanding that we, as humans, are part of a vast, complex system. It's about living in accordance with the reason and logic that permeates the entire world. A Stoic understands that some things happen according to natural laws, and fighting them is as pointless as trying to stop an earthquake. Imagine you're trying to swim against a very strong river current. It's exhausting. You expend enormous amounts of energy, but don't move forward, or you even get carried backward. What if you learn to use the current's power, to flow with it, but still steer yourself in the right direction? This doesn't mean being passive and simply giving in to circumstances. It means using natural laws to your advantage. It means seeing how the world is structured, how its systems function, and living in accordance with that structure, rather than trying to break or ignore it. This applies to the cycles of life, the inevitability of change, and the acceptance that some things are simply meant to happen, and our task is just to react to them correctly. So, 15 lessons. It might seem like a lot, but in reality, they're just different facets of one big principle. Live consciously, rely on yourself, and face life with dignity. Alone, but not solitary in your pursuit of wisdom. Free because you're not attached to the external, but responsible for yourself. Strong because you're honest with yourself and accept reality as it is. And that's the beauty of it. This is the path you choose yourself, and no one will walk it for you. But you can walk it, becoming stronger, wiser, and calmer with every step. Which of these resonated most with you? And are you ready to start your journey? Or perhaps you're already on it?